The news traveled faster than any messenger could carry it. A carpenter's son, unknown to kings and governors, had emerged from the wilderness with a fire in his eyes and a voice that commanded storms and hearts alike. From Jordan, where the Spirit had descended like a dove, Jesus began to move among the people, not as a teacher only, but as a presence no one could ignore. And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people. Matthew 4:23. It began with the sick, a woman with blood that had not ceased for 12 years, a child crippled from birth, a leper shunned even by his own family. He touched them, spoke a word, and the impossible became flesh. The blind saw, the lame walked, the hearts of men trembled. Word spread like wildfire. Villages along the Jordan began whispering his name in reverence and fear, Jesus of Nazareth. But with light, shadows awaken. The Pharisees watched from the edges, their scrolls clutched tightly, brows furrowed. Every miracle, every whispered prayer of thanksgiving from a healed soul was a challenge to their authority. Every act of mercy, a threat to their carefully maintained order. Who gives him this authority? They muttered. Mark 11:28. And in the hills and marketplaces, the enemies of God stirred, the dark powers that had watched his birth and temptation now conspiring in the open. Satan's whispers were no longer private. He had found mortal instruments eager to carry out his will. It started subtly. A councilman misled by fear, a scribe spreading doubt, a wealthy merchant buying loyalty with gold. Every act small, seemingly insignificant, yet each carefully designed to strain the delicate trust forming between Jesus and the people. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting Galilee in molten gold and crimson, Jesus sat with his disciples beside a quiet lake. They had watched him heal a blind man, feed a crowd of 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and calm a storm that could have swallowed their boat. Still, they asked him questions, naive and urgent. "Master," Peter said, "why do they oppose you so? Why do the leaders murmur in their temples?" Jesus looked out across the lake, the wind lifting his hair, his eyes reflecting the first stars appearing in the twilight sky. "Because truth is always dangerous to those who live in lies," he said, "and power fears the one who does not seek it." Even as he spoke, the city of Capernaum was alive with plots. A man in fine robes, cloaked in authority but drenched in envy, plotted to have him silenced. Every word Jesus spoke challenged the temple hierarchy. Every miracle undermined the carefully crafted social order. The tension escalated silently, invisibly. Then came the confrontation at the synagogue. Jesus had been teaching, his voice resonant with the authority of heaven itself. The congregation leaned forward, captivated by a wisdom far beyond human years. And suddenly, a man, possessed and shouting in rage, lunged from the back. "Destroy him. He blasphemes. He defies the law." The synagogue froze. The eyes of the religious leaders were wide with a mixture of fear and excitement. They had been waiting for this moment. Jesus did not panic. His hand lifted, calm, commanding, "Be silent and come out of him." Mark 1 verse 25. The spirit shrieked and fled, leaving the man trembling, free. The crowd gasped. Some fell to their knees in awe. Others whispered about the dangerous power of this young man from Nazareth. That night, in the quiet of his lodgings, Jesus prayed. The disciples slept, their minds unable to comprehend the storm gathering around them. He knew the time was coming when his miracles would no longer be enough to shield him. The conspiracies were multiplying, spreading like roots beneath the surface. And the enemy, patient and cunning, was preparing for a moment when even the people's awe would turn to anger. And then a messenger arrived, cloaked in shadow, riding a horse that snorted under the moonlight. "Master," he said, voice trembling, "they are gathering in Jerusalem." Jesus' eyes narrowed, but his expression remained calm. He rose and walked to the window, gazing across the hills of Galilee. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the snares were being laid. Kingdoms would tremble, hearts would be tested, and the Son of God would face the first wave of opposition that would shape his ministry. Because every miracle had a price. Every act of mercy had a shadow, and the forces that would one day drive him to the cross were already in motion. Jesus turned back to his disciples, his voice quiet but unyielding. "The time is coming," he said, "when the light will shine so brightly, the darkness will gather all its strength. Be ready, watch, pray." Matthew 26:41. The night deepened. A storm of unseen power was approaching, not of wind or rain, but of men, spirits, and kingdoms united against him. And somewhere, in the palace halls of kings, in the courts of Rome, in the secret gatherings of the powerful, plans were being laid that would change the world forever. The first battle for his life had begun, and only the heavens knew how it would end. The Galilean sun rose crimson and fierce, spilling light over villages that had begun to whisper his name in awe and in fear. By now, no one could ignore him. The crowds had grown too large, too fervent, too devoted. Mothers pressed children to his side. Merchants stopped their stalls to watch him pass. Soldiers lowered their eyes, unsure whether to bow or to retreat. Even the wind seemed to obey him as he walked along the shores of the Sea of Galilee. And the multitudes were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. Matthew 7:28-29. It began with miracles that defied understanding. 5 loaves and 2 fish fed thousands without diminishing. The blind saw, the deaf heard, and the dead, just as he had promised, rose from the grave. Every act of mercy was a spark, and every spark drew light and shadow. The leaders of the temple grew restless. The Pharisees whispered in chambers. The Sadducees plotted in silence. And priests who once guided their people with quiet wisdom now trembled at the power radiating from a carpenter's son. By what authority does he do these things? They demanded in council. Luke 20:2. Meanwhile, the disciples followed him, awed and bewildered. Peter, bold and brash, often asked questions the others feared. John, contemplative, quietly absorbed every word. James watched the crowds, sensing the tides of destiny turning against them. One evening, Jesus climbed a hill overlooking a village devastated by famine. A woman knelt before him, her child dead in her arms. He took her hand, whispered a prayer, and the boy gasped, breathing once more. Tears fell freely, but so did whispers of accusation from men in the shadows. Not all miracles won love. Some sowed fear. Some drew envy. Some were already being plotted against. And then came the whispers in Jerusalem. Men in fine robes, wealthy and cunning, began sending letters, messages, spies, subtle warnings disguised as guidance. A carpenter's son from Nazareth, they said, had no right to command men, heal disease, or speak of kings and kingdoms. The word spread, carefully twisted. Soon, the voices of envy and fear reached the ears of Herod and Pilate. And in the hearts of the people, doubt began to creep alongside awe. The tension reached a boiling point during the Feast of Tabernacles. The city was alive with pilgrims, and Jesus entered the temple courts once more. He healed, he taught, and he spoke openly of the kingdom to come. The religious leaders were waiting. They cornered him with questions meant to trap him. By what authority do you do these things? Who gave you this power? Jesus looked at them, his eyes calm yet piercing, as though he could see every hidden thought and secret desire. I will ask you one question, he said. The baptism of John, was it from heaven or of men? They argued, hesitant, unwilling to answer truthfully, for fear of the people. Jesus watched, silently, as the web of deceit began to ensnare them, and so they could not answer him a word. Matthew 21:25. It was in that silence that he revealed the first glimpse of the cost. For every miracle, there would be opposition. For every life saved, there would be an enemy waiting. For every kingdom touched, The shadow of the cross grew longer. Then, late one night, a betrayal whispered through the Galilean hills. One of his closest followers, a man who had walked beside him, laughed, and cried with him, began plotting in secret. His heart, corrupted by greed and fear, was ready to hand the Son of God to his enemies for 30 pieces of silver. Jesus knew not every friend would remain, not every disciple would stand, and yet he pressed on, because the hour was approaching when mercy alone would not suffice. The Pharisees and priests tightened their grip on power. Soldiers moved in the streets. Shadows deepened in every marketplace, in every home, in every council chamber. And still, Jesus healed. Still, he taught. Still, he walked among the people, knowing that each step brought him closer to the cross, and that every act of love would be met with hatred in the hearts of men. It was a ministry at its zenith, but every miracle carried a price, every smile a shadow, every hand touched a consequence. The sun set over Galilee that evening, painting the hills in blood and gold. Jesus stood with his disciples, looking out at the horizon where heaven seemed close enough to touch. "The time is coming," he said, voice steady and unwavering, "when the Son of Man will be delivered into the hands of men. Watch and pray, for the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." Matthew 26:41. The shadows stirred. Betrayal was in motion. Jerusalem awaited, ready to crown its conspiracies with death. And far beyond, powers unseen, ancient and relentless, were waiting for the moment when light would meet darkness, and the fate of all creation would hang in balance. Because the greatest battle of all, the one that would shape humanity forever, was yet to come. Moral lesson. Life is a journey of preparation, obedience, and unwavering faith, even when the world does not understand you. From the silence of Nazareth to the storms of the wilderness, from the awe of miracles to the shadows of betrayal, Jesus' life teaches us that true power is not in fame, recognition, or worldly authority. It is in faithfulness to God's purpose, integrity in the face of temptation, and love that perseveres despite opposition. Every trial, every moment of loneliness, every unseen battle shapes the strength, wisdom, and courage needed for destiny. Those who walk in righteousness will face enemies, doubt, and hardship, but the light of truth and the promises of God are never defeated. As Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths." The lesson is clear. Obedience, humility, and steadfast faith prepare the soul for greatness, even when the journey is hidden from the eyes of men. And the ultimate truth remains. Destiny is revealed not in ease, but in how faithfully one walks through trials, temptations, and shadows, knowing that every step shapes the world around you.